Welcome to Squidshot Photo Editing. One of you guys had asked me in the comments whether I flatten all of the layers before I render when I'm working in Corel Paint Shop Pro. So I decided to make an episode covering the three main ways that I do use layers. I've pulled up a random product shot of mine so that we have an example of the biggest way I use layers, which is as benchmarks. Okay, as you can see, we've got our layers section over here. I've pulled over a picture. I've duplicated it, so that way I can drag a copy of the original picture, which is a little oversized, over to a project that is at a cropping size that I want it to be. And as you can see by this white dotted line around, that's the size of the original picture that we pulled over. And I've cropped it a little bit to fit a perfect 4K screen, so that way it fills a screen perfectly. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to scroll out there. Let's scroll down on our layers side, and you can see this is our background, this bottom one, which is that 4K box. Then the next one up, you see that white line just jumped out from that box, which is the original picture, being cropped correctly. So I renamed it Cropped, made a copy of it, went up, and added a layer of clarity. The reason I'm not walking through all of the actual tool steps is because it would take forever to walk through all of this. I want you to get the concept of the layer use. Okay, so we did the clarity, and I checked back and forth, and I liked what I saw. So we moved on, and we added a vibrancy by copying clarity and renaming it vibrancy. We added our vibrancy. And as you see, it just makes the colors a bit deeper. Those midtones are really nice and poppy now. So we made a copy of the vibrancy and called it contrast. We added the contrast layer and everything kind of tightened up. That filmy look came off. It was great. I liked it. Then we did the shadows, midtones, and highlights by copying the contrast layer and renaming it thusly. Now, we started to get a little creative and changed the white balance to be a little cooler. And in my brain, I was liking that at the moment and said, okay, cool, let's move on from there. So I made a copy and called it contrast, because I always like to do a little contrast at the end again, and finished, right? And I came up with this awesome darkened background version. But then I said to myself, well, what happened to all that nice warmth? What if I wanted to add some warmth to a different layer? Instead of having to start from scratch or having to undo any of the work I had done, we can leave this work and this whole procedure in place and start another one right on top of it. So that way we can have multiple renditions. So I renamed it, finished, and made a copy of white balance, which is one step before. And now I'm realizing now that's the wrong one to have copied. Let's go back another layer to shadows, which we had finished the shadows. Duplicate it. Move shadows to the top. We're going to erase this one I had made earlier. We're going to call it Start Copy of Shadows. Now we're going to make a copy of it. Okay, so now we're going to rename this Contrast, because it has the warmth we were looking for before. But I just want to darken up the background and see if we get a better version. And we get to do this experiment because we had those benchmarks. So let's go ahead and throw a contrast on here and see if we like it better than the finished product we had already made. That's a bit cooler. So the exact same amount of contrast I used on the other picture. We'll hit OK. Now, let's make everything between this contrast finished, number 1 down here, right? We'll make that visible, and everything between our new version and that version invisible. Now, the moment of truth. Let's click back and forth, A being the cooler and the warmer. This is the warmer. That's the cooler version, and a warmer version. So instead of at the end of our project, we only have one option, Now I have two products that I get to choose between and use for different reasons in different ways. And instead of it having to be a full new process or having to redo everything a million times in a million ways, you just step backwards in your procedure line by keeping your layers as benchmarks. That's the main way I do use layers. The second way that I use the layers for the majority of the time is to make compositions like this, where you have a bunch of images that you're going to put together into one piece. And I'll show you how I did that. So we've brought all of the pictures in question over to a new project. We have them all lined up over here in the layers. As you can see, we've started to shrink them so that we can start to organize them and start to make this scene of them moving. Once we've got them all to the right size, we've cut them down to the crops that we're looking for, then we would flatten all of these layers together to create this piece here. That way, once we had everything laid out and we have this one piece, then we can do any of the actual photo editing to it that we want. And we'll be applying the edits to all of the pieces because they're no longer separate. Now they're all one piece, and we can actually do an effect edit. Like if we do a brightness contrast, it's not going to affect one of the pictures, it'll affect all of them. Just like that. That is why you would flatten all of the layers on the side. So that way you can utilize something like this, where all of the pictures have been turned into one, and now we can affect them all together. And obviously, this is a good way to render it as well, making sure that it came out correctly. And the last way I use layers is when I'm doing like really strangely creative stuff, like either masks and masking certain areas, or I'm going to do extreme color variations or exposure variations and stack those images and then make some of them transparent. So let's go and do a couple of duplications by right-clicking and duplicate, and we're gonna make the first two invisible, okay? We'll work with the bottom one and make sure that we've highlighted the bottom one. So that way we are also working with the one we're looking at. And we're gonna go to adjust, brightness contrast, and hit default. Now, let's start thinking about elements that we want to accentuate. I just want this one to be a little darker so that way the water's a little more accentuated down here, okay? And we'll go there and there, but you see that we lose a lot of the detail in the bottom here under the bridge, which is fine. We were looking to make the darks really dark here. Let's go to the next one up by making it visible, and it's covering up this bottom one. We can't see the bottom one at all unless we change its transparency, which is up here, or opacity. Now, let's do something extreme. I usually use vibrancy when I'm doing edits, but this time we're not. We're gonna use the saturation tool. And honestly, we're gonna change even the hue of everything. So let's slide the hue. Oh, sorry, cancel. Forgot to highlight the second one. There we go. And you can always tell because nothing happens on the screen. All right, hue, saturation, come over. Let's slide and give us a nice, let's see, purple, pink. What do we want here? Green, yellow. Let's go just a little bit purple. So, that's the original. This is our extreme color variation. Let's bake it in. Let's do our third one. And we're gonna look to get some of these highlights or whatever going on down here, these little details, to pop a little more. So, now we're covering up that second one we made. Highlight the correct layer that we're supposed to be using. Adjust. Where'd it go? Fill light, clarity. Default. Now, let's do a little fill light and watch that area down under the bridge. All right. It's a little much. Let's pull it back just a drop. There we go. It's enough detail. Let's bake it in. Okay, now that we've got these three very different layers going on, we can change the opacity of each one. I want the details to be there, but we'll pull the transparency of that layer down to about 61 to start with. Let's make it invisible and not visible so we can see that layer appear and disappear under the bridge here. Very nice. And we can slide the opacity down till we have more of that purple look, right? See? Now we get that purple look while having more detail. See, when we pull away the detail layer, the detail's gone. Now we have that combination between the purple and the detail. And if we pull the opacity of layer 2 down, we should get a little bit more of the darks in the water here and in these dark areas here. There it goes. A little darker there, which means now we need to pull the transparency or the opacity of the top layer even down further. Let's see. A bit of the purple and a bit of the details. Now that we've got these three things all laid on top of each other, we've got something to smush into one. Okay, we do that by highlighting all of them, by either holding Shift and clicking to the bottom, or you can do Control, I'm gonna click on one of them, and click one at a time. Either way, it's fine. Right click, and you come down to Merge. Merge, all, flatten. Boom. Now, those three images turned into one. There are obviously countless ways to use the Layers section in Corel Paint Shop Pro, or any of the editing software you might be using. You'll develop habits and tastes through hundreds of iterations, but please allow your preferences and habits to evolve along with your editing goals. Get out there, give it a shot. A squid shot.